Hello, I'm the Fanfic Critic. I find the gems so you don't have to. Today's story is an interesting Digimon fanfiction. The Wages of Fans is Fiction by Crazyeight. Our story begins. It wasn't supposed to be this way. A sullen-eyed boy looked at his computer screen, his eyes dry and red from staying up far too late, his mind swirling in confusion from having drank too many sugary liquids of the kind called soda. His room was covered wall to wall with pictures that he had drawn, various people and creatures, with one word dominating them all: Digimon. Yes, he was a fan of Digimon. He loved it with a passion. The characters were so well written, perhaps more human than some people that he had known in his life, and his friends all shared this obsession. Not a day passed where they didn't talk about it at least once, and they discussed all the things that they had enjoyed about it, and all the things that they disliked about it. Sometimes those discussions could turn ugly. They all had their own personal preferences, of course, about how things should have gone when each season ended, but it never stopped them from being friends in the past. Until now, that is. A disagreement had gone just a little too far for him, and he drew a line in the sand, and dared his friend to cross it. She did. He stared at his computer screen, his mind boiling with rage. He clicked on the Microsoft Word program and activated it. Out of his friends, his peers, he was considered the most knowledgeable when it came to the details of the show. It didn't seem fair that one person's opinion should trump that, or that the reality that the show had already set in stone should matter. With each season's end, he was disappointed anew, and he refused to give up what he held to be sacred. In his world, things were as he desired them to be, and he had plenty of evidence to prove it, too. Why couldn't the creator see that? What was more, why couldn't his friend see that? "It's over," she had told him. "That's the way things are. Just deal with it. You can't change what the episode showed us." It couldn't be. He wouldn't allow it. He'd find a way by doing what he did best, writing the story. Yes, he'd show them. He'd show them all. The boy set his fingers down on the keyboard and began typing. At that very moment, in another world, a boy named Izzy looked out his window and saw dark clouds forming in the sky, swirling like angry tentacles, lightning sparking within their embrace. This can't be good, he thought. Chapter 2. Belief and fact. We walk that line every day, so often that the line has become blurred to the point where you can't tell the difference between the two. I call that blur desire, because that's what it seems to be about. Desire of what, though? The desire to spin our own tale? To fix something that we disliked? To clear the air about some inconsistency from our favorite TV shows? I don't know for sure. I am not those other authors, so I can't lay claim to their thoughts. Except that it is my own, and the one featured in this story. We're in a universe all of our own making. Sort of. But we do create universes here. Some beautiful, some not quite so beautiful. Really depends on your taste and the author's writing style, but however you look at it, and you can argue about this if you want, we are all of us little gods when we tell our tales. Except that we can't lay claim to that title. Heck, we can't even lay claim to the characters featured in our stories, unless we make them up. We have to put a big fat disclaimer on our profiles and stories so that the true owners don't sue us and make our lives miserable. But I digress. Earlier I had stated that we are all in universes of our own making. Now imagine just what would happen if one author was able to make his universe the dominant one, all the others simply vanishing without a trace, as though they never existed, to the point where even the original storyline that birthed all the others was gone. How would the characters react? Would they even remember? Would they even care? Let's take that journey, shall we? Let's see just what happens when there's a sudden shift in the universe's paradigm. Izzy couldn't believe what he was seeing. At that moment, there was quite a bit going on. First off, there was a massive electrical storm raging outside, of a type that he hadn't seen before. That and the fact that it was a rather sudden occurrence, and the weatherman had called for clear skies today. Second, something was wrong with the fanfiction site that he was looking at. Just a second ago, he had received a message from some author, he couldn't remember the name, asking him if he wanted to partake in yet another romance story. Not that he minded, really. From what he had read of the basic plot, it actually sounded interesting. And he had nothing to do in the meantime. It would have also have allowed him to see the other Digidestined as well, if they were all going to be involved, of course. They weren't always, but it didn't matter at the moment, because before he could even send a reply, his computer screen warped. The network administrators are not going to be happy about this, was all he had time to think before the universe suddenly seemed to lurch and black out. Izzy blinked at the email. It was from Ty. Something about having an engagement with Sora? I thought that she was going out with Matt right now. Izzy shook his head. What was he thinking? Matt wasn't going out with Sora. He never had. Ty and Sora had been going steady for the past 3 years. He typed in a reply, congratulating his friend on finally getting the nerve to pop the question, and asked if he had a day picked out, and if so, was he invited? As he waited for a reply, he looked out the window and smiled at the sun that shone so brightly. The sky was clear, and nothing else seemed to be so perfect before. Down in a park, a red-haired boy with a blue dog-like Digimon with boxing gloves looked up at the sky in utter confusion. He could have sworn that just a second ago that he saw... Well, now you see it, now you don't. The boy, whose name was William, couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong in the universe. But what? Looking down at his companion, he asked, Galmon, what the heck just happened here? Okay, I really itches there. That is The Wages of Fanfiction by Crazyeight. Check out the full story from the link in the description on the right. This has been the Fanfic Critic. I find the gems, so you don't have to. Later.